Hey everybody, we're here with Chris Ziskovsky with Barrett Roofing. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Absolutely, Jeremy. Thank you very much.
And we're going to play Jenga with Jeremy.
All right.
It's our 17th episode? 17th.
Very nice.
So I'm 16 and 1.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I wouldn't be right because this is the 17th one. I'm lying. But
Daniel said he beat you.
he cheated. He moved like the whole thing. He like pushed one and the whole thing shifted over, and I was nervous the whole time. He did beat me. I don't know what my record is, but I've won more than I've lost, but not anymore. So, but yeah, let's get going, and I'll ask you some questions.
That works.
So go ahead, and when just push any of them out, and then just stack them back on top.
Okay.
I think the only thing that we said is it has to be 2 complete rows. So,
okay.
So nothing higher than 2 complete rows, but everything else, I mean, no really other rules besides that.
Okay.
So
that'll work.
Go ahead and get started.
Might as well just start off with a bang. And I shake,
right.
so that's going to be a disadvantage to me quite badly. So we'll see how this goes.
So yeah, you start in the bottom, make it interesting. That's good. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in southern Minnesota in a city called Lonsdale. It's about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the afternoon traffic, to get down there. But it's a small farming community.
Okay.
Small population, about 1,400 people when I graduated, maybe a little bit less in 2000, and now it's a booming 4,000. So it's a small farming community.
So you were there for how many years?
25.
Okay.
So I moved down here about almost 19 years ago. It'll be 19 years ago in September that I moved down here.
Okay.
So yeah, I've finished college there, and
once I family up there still.
Yeah, everybody, parents, sisters, both my sisters, all 7 of my nieces and nephews on my side, and then all my other relatives. Yeah, I pretty much moved.
And I think you were telling me this, but what brought you here?
Travelers Insurance. I believe, when I moved down here with Travelers, which is kind of
Were you already working with Travelers up there? Or you got a job here with Travelers?
Got a job here with Travelers, yeah. I started on their catastrophe team. So they basically talked to me and knew that I had the history the work in construction. Mm-hmm. So they basically asked me, they said, would you be willing to move down in 2 weeks? And we were in the middle of the baseball tournament. Yeah. So I said, well, can we make it 3 so I go home and tell my parents I'm moving to Tennessee? So yeah, they were really thrilled about that.
Yeah.
So the nice little 900 mile difference, or 900.
So you were 25 when you moved here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've only been 2 places.
Yeah.
Here and here.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's kind of how my family is. Like, it's kind of that not old school, but like they've been in the same house. Like, I've been in the same area down here and there, but they've been in the same house since like 1970, something like that.
My family's the same way. My parents are still in the same house I grew up in.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think ours isn't even that long though. Ours was like 78, I think, when we lived there. But pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's been a fun transition because it's very similar. Like, you still have, like, with my job, with me working with Barrett, like, I'm still out in rural areas, I'm still out in the city. I'm going from both, back and forth. So I still kind of have that feel when I get into the smaller towns. Like, okay, this is like home. Yeah. This is what I grew up in. I see the kids all at the local baseball park, which now it's like hearing about kids going down to a baseball park.
You can't let them go there by themselves.
Right. Yeah. Is that kid biking without a parent? Yeah. Or, where we would bike 7 miles to see our friend out in the country.
Right.
Because nobody lived close to you. Right. I mean, my closest friends were on the other side of my town that I grew up in, which, given it's only a half a mile from one side to the other at that time. So, but yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what you got.
Let's see here. I'm going to go. Oh, that's already shifting.
I think you going low there made it interesting to start.
This could make for a quick game.
Well, we'll just, if it does.
Quick episode.
If it does, then we'll knock out the questions anyways.
Yeah.
So you said, I heard you say something about baseball. Did you play baseball growing up?
I did. I was fortunate enough to play a couple years into college till the shoulder told me otherwise. That was
pitcher?
Yes, pitcher.
Where'd you play college ball?
Minnesota State in Mankato. It's a small little D2 school. I went there and It's about an hour away from my home, so it's far enough away, but not too far. You know, with the whole, not that I was looking to get out. My dream was LSU. I'm a big LSU fan, which is not really a fan favorite here in Middle Tennessee. But now it's becoming a little bit more watered down with people from outside the area. But when I moved down here and told everybody that I was a LSU fan, I got a lot of boos from the orange. So, but yeah, played baseball.
Baseball, you get boos from Orange and Vandy, huh?
Oh yeah,
Baseball.
yeah, that's all right though. We've had the most recent success.
Yeah, that is true. But, nice year last year.
Yeah.
So you play. So you said before you took your job, were you playing baseball then?
Yes.
Okay.
So, but that was just like town ball. So the one thing that's big up in Minnesota is this like a town ball system.
Really?
And it's for people basically from juniors in high school to as old as you want to try to play. They
It's
have
like a hockey format, or like, I mean, doesn't hockey kind of have like a juniors that's like that? Like,
yeah, we're not that good though. That's a different level. This is more like almost like a church league softball.
Yeah.
But for baseball.
More structure to it.
Yeah. So yeah, there'll be some teams that are very competitive. They'll have, you know, our team. I think we had when I was playing my last year, we had a couple guys that played collegiate baseball. So you have some people who are still playing college
Did you hurt your
ball.
shoulder playing that?
Not that, no.
Oh, so you hurt your shoulder in college, came back and played town ball.
Yeah.
Were you pitching at that point again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I tore the rotator cuff, the labrum, and the muscle from my neck to my shoulder blade in college. It was a
like one injury.
One injury, one pitch. A freshman left-handed batter. It was our scout day.
Oh my gosh.
Scout day, you think, oh, this is going to be a great experience, great opportunity. Through one pitch, he drag bunts. I go field it barehanded, go up to throw it, and
no,
just
it wasn't even on a pitch.
drops.
It was on.
Well, I'm sure it was on the pitch because then when I picked it up and tried to lift my shoulder or lift my arm, it was gone.
Wow.
Just walking off the field, holding my shoulder, and what are you doing? And I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean you're done? I'm like, no, I'm done. Like this is.
So you knew right away that it was something.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was in October, and went from October to July without throwing anything, and told them in between that after I was done with rehab because it was a 54% tear of the rotator cuff. So they said, well, if you ever want to play again, chances are if you do the surgery, it's not going to happen. So I kind of probably made a bad decision at the time because I was like, I want to keep on playing, thinking it's going to be, the same, that I'm going to go back, I'll be able to pitch the same and have the same ability, and that was not the case. You rehab it, and every time after I played, it hurt for 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
So it wasn't too much fun after that.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, wish I would have had the surgery. I'll still probably have to have it at some point in time, but hopefully not too soon.
Yeah.
I can still throw enough with my two daughters in the backyard.
Yeah,
We're playing.
Don't have to throw any fastballs anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, give it another whirl. I snuck one in while you're talking there.
Let's see. Oh no, that's not moving. That's not moving. Oh, that is really.
You can leave it out if you want to.
No,
yeah, it's moving.
I can't cheat like that.
Feel like go around the other side if you want to.
Come this way. Oh, and it's a question board.
Look at that.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
It's a hard question. Can you think of something like as far as like parent, mentor, anybody who's given you advice?
I think I have to just go back to like childhood when my parents just told me. I mean, it's basically the golden rule. It's the golden rule for a reason, I think. Just treat others how you want to be treated. I think we won't get into that conversation right now about what's going on in the world today, but unless that's part of your questions. But I think
who are you voting for?
Right, yeah, exactly. So I just think if a person would just take a second to like just get back to kind of what we were brought up on by our parents,
Yeah.
I think things would go a little bit smoother in everybody's day. So I think I'm going to just take the easy out and say the golden rule, just because I think that's one thing that I still try to instill in my daughters. It's like, look, if you want somebody to treat you properly and kindly and as a friend, even if it's not necessarily a friend, you don't have to be friends with them to treat them right. I mean, just treat people with respect and how you want them to treat you.
I like it. I like it. Makes sense
simple.
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then my next question, let's see what I have. So insurance adjuster, was it just for travelers?
Travelers for their catastrophe team. So I did that for almost 3 years. Midway through that, I met my now wife, who she was not a huge fan of being gone.
Yeah.
For
you being gone for
30 out of 35 days. Yeah. You know, we would travel out on day one, work 28 straight days, do claims that whole time, and then travel back, and then we'd be back home for usually 5 to 7 days. Sometimes they would give us the 7 days. Usually they would say, hey, we need you out somewhere else. So I worked with them, and then she just said, you know, this one of these two things aren't going to work as well long term if this is how it is. And it took me 26 years to find somebody who could stand me. And I figured I could find a job a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
So no, worked then with Alpha Alliance Insurance. They were Virginia Mutual Insurance, and then they were purchased by the Alpha Group down in Alabama.
Yeah.
And then when and I think did you guys used to have Alpha? Mm-mm. No, you didn't? Okay, because I remember you from Travelers, and I remember when I was with Safeco after Alpha.
That's right, yes.
But yeah, I worked with Alpha, and then they pulled out everything out of North Carolina and Tennessee, and then I started working with Safeco and worked with them till 2015. So yeah, those three companies off and on.
I was thinking, I knew that it was a company we worked with, and when you said Travelers, I was like, I don't remember Travelers. I was thinking it was Safeco, and so obviously it was Safeco for the time we remember, because the CAT team, we wouldn't have been working together on that stuff.
Right. Well, when we were not sent out to a disaster or helping with volume, we were working local here.
Okay.
So I think, and I thought I remembered Holt
From
Insurance
Travelers
from that time,
days.
from just when seeing a couple
probably.
policies.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, mostly Safeco
though.
Safeco from 2011 or 12 to 2015.
Okay.
So,
And then to Barrett after that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Cool. So how did you get into the roofing world?
So
how'd you move from adjusting to?
I've
doing
always
roofing?
been in construction, back since when I was a kid. Before. I don't think they can go back on videos in the city of or state of Minnesota is going to check to see my records. But back before I could even drive, I'd have to ride with people because I'd be a gopher for somebody on a construction site. We did concrete, did concrete masonry, and then did other construction trades. But then I got into framing, and I loved framing. Framing still to this day my favorite job I've ever had. Now my body would never be able to make it, I don't think.
Let's see other framers do it.
I loved it. It was so fun. We would have, simple races, which I know it sounds crazy, on the walls of an unfinished home, just along the sides. And we just enjoyed it. It was a group of us. We all knew what we were doing. We knew our jobs. And we would see that, from start to finish. And it was all in my hometown or around my hometown. So it was homes that I still go back and see my parents. I'm like, oh, we're still that house. Yes, successful. So I was in construction there, and then got into the insurance. And then the first inspection that I had in Middle Tennessee, my supervisor was like, you're going to meet a gentleman with Barrett Roofing, and it was Mike. So ironically, met Mike back in 2006, right when I started adjusting, because even before I was sent out for a catastrophe, they had us on local claims. So I met Mike, and being in the field of insurance, you're always on roofs, you're always looking at them. And then Mike and I talked, and he said, I really want to bring somebody on here with the insurance experience, because he's built a lot of relationships in the company was started in '62. Mike's been with them since I'm sure he was 17 or 18. And he basically said, I just want somebody that I can trust that isn't going to go out and tell everybody everything's insurance, everything needs to be replaced, you can't repair it, you need to turn it into your insurance, don't tell your agent, call the number, we'll sit there with you. So when Mike and I talked about it, just kind of seemed like a good fit. And it's been a pretty good fit for 9 years.
Yeah.
So far. So yeah,
great.
I've enjoyed it.
Got it.
Yeah. That was cool.
So, advice on a roof. So obviously, you get a lot of calls to look at people's roofs. And
Yeah.
a lot of them are driven from other roofers going and knocking on doors and saying, "Hey, I replaced this guy's. You probably have damage too." If you were to give advice to someone, like, how do you tell if you have roof damage without? I mean, 'cause most people aren't going to get up on the roof. Like,
Right.
Is there a way, like, visibly to be able to see it, or is it soft metals, or what would you advise someone if you're like saying, "Hey, I should have Barrett come out and look at my roof"?
Right.
So you're not wasting your time going to every single roof of, because someone else said you might have it.
Yeah. I think, and that's one part that's kind of tricky, is in today's day, you have so many companies that are going door knocking. Not saying that that's necessarily a bad philosophy. That's not our philosophy, but that's not necessarily bad. It's tricky because a lot of times, like for instance, 2 nights ago I think we had the hailstorm. And I had calls already from people who said, "Hey, I've had 12 people come by my house already." And I said, I'll come out there next week. We'll get it looked at. The problem, the one thing that I usually tell people to avoid is if somebody asks you a question of who your insurance company is within the first couple minutes, that's not necessarily the approach that I would take as a homeowner, because it should not matter what your insurance company is. Who your insurance company does not matter if you have hail damage or not. If you have hail damage, that's simply found by somebody getting onto your roof and actually looking at it.
Right.
For a homeowner to be able to get kind of an idea that they may have it, they can walk around their home, they can look at downspouts, window screens, the mailbox. Sometimes mailboxes now tend to be a little bit more durable, a little bit more hail resistant. But just looking at items that will show collateral damage on the outside elevations, which would be a simple way for them to look at it. But I mean, we still get on roofs. We don't do a drone. I know I've talked to a lot of people who use drones, and it's just, we personally think that you can get a better view with your eyes in being on the roof. The drones are very helpful though. I mean, we don't use them. We don't have one. I meet with adjusters who go up there or get to the house and they're like, "This is a 16-12 pitch." And nobody's walking on a 16-12 pitch. Not without rope, harness, or fearlessness. I mean, something else. But, it's tough to tell a homeowner because, like, a lot of times they'll look at their downspout and they'll see an indentation. An indentation, because they'll take a piece of sidewalk chalk. And we do the same thing as the people that are going knocking on their doors. We just do it in a different process. Different approach to it. But we'll take a sidewalk chalk, or piece of sidewalk chalk that we all take from our kids. We'll slide it on the downspout, and it'll show an indentation. But the indentation doesn't necessarily mean it's from hail. It could be more of a press in there, like it's almost like the metal had something, like either during the installation or a rock that gets thrown from a lawnmower or a weed eater or anything else. The indentations are going to look pretty similar to a hailstone. And I know hailstones aren't necessarily just perfectly round, but a lot of times they will show a round indentation. The screens will show a little, like a rip in the screens. Windows, sometimes people have aluminum window wrap. All those items are what I would tell a homeowner that would be their best way of finding out. And then you can look at the bottom half of the gutters. Sometimes you can look up at the gutters and actually see dents, because the dents are going to show the direction. You're going to see if your downspouts on your west-facing side are damaged and nothing on your east side, that's telling you your northwestern storm or the southwestern storms, which is what we typically get. If you only have indentations on the east side, I'm going to just...
Yeah, probably not going to be the case, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's funny, too, because I'll go to homes after somebody tells me, hey, you know, I want you to come out here as a second opinion because somebody told me I have hail damage, and my adjuster, either before or after their adjuster, sometimes it's because their adjuster said they don't and they want a second opinion, or they just want a second opinion before they turn it into the insurance. And I'll go out there and I'm like, well, it's not very consistent with hail if it's all coming from the east.
Yeah.
We get rotational winds and we get some storms that have rotations, but not likely that you're going to get the hail coming from just the east side. So I use all that stuff to kind of put together not a case, but a reason for us to even think that there's going to be hail damage up on the roof. And then, you know, you have wind damage, that's shingles missing, leaks. A lot of times people have
Is there
leaks.
any way to tell from on the ground of wind? I mean, besides it, I mean, significant wind damage, yes, you're going to see lifting, you're going to see like sections gone.
Yeah.
But like straight line winds that come, like the day we had the 60-mile-an-hour winds that were all day.
Oh, March
you know,
3rd of last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was crazy, right? I
Yes.
mean, who's ever seen that?
Right.
And so, but there was all kinds of interesting damage to people's roofs.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, everybody was calling and wanted people to come look at. And, but is there any way to see if it's not significant?
Wind is tricky because a lot of times you can get shingles that'll lift, but they'll sit back down and they look like they're untouched. Look like they haven't been, you know, hit through a windstorm at all. And it's tough to really see that from the ground.
Will those not be intact when you go up there? And like, if you go, like, I don't even know, if you go up and you see a shingle, is it going to lift a little bit? And those lift a lot? Is that how, I mean, you'd be able to tell? Or
Yeah, and it can be a couple different ways. A lot of times on 30-year architectural shingles, they'll come up in more sections, or the laminated tabs will rip off. And if it lifts a section, I can lift up this shingle and it'll lift up 3 feet up the roof line. The 3-tab shingles, those are more individual shingles, so that individual tab will lift up and then it'll sit back down. But usually it doesn't have, unless you it sits for a while and the heat causes that to reseal, a lot of times those are going to get debris, because with that windstorm, debris comes with it. Dust, pollen, leaves, anything will get underneath there, sit on that seal strip, and it won't allow that shingle to reseal itself down. And there are times where that can be easily repaired. I mean, we can take some silicone and just put it down there, put a couple little spots so the shingle will seal back down. But other times it'll crease the shingle, and that shingle being creased is not really something that can be, I mean, you can seal it down, but the crease may have cracked where water could get underneath there, get underneath that shingle, sit where it's sealed, or get to the nail heads, and it can cause an issue that way too. But it's tough. If it's not significant, it's tough to see it from the ground. It really is.
interesting.
Unless you have a really steep slope and you can look at it and you see creases or anything like that.
Got it. And then I'm curious, like, from a homeowner's perspective, like, I don't think anybody thinks about maintenance on their roof until something goes wrong.
Yeah.
I know we see a lot of water leaks that come in from flashing or caulking that's deteriorated.
Yeah.
Like, from your standpoint, seeing all of it, like, get it checked out every now and then, or what do you do to check on the pipe boots and those types of that type of stuff? So.
Usually when I talk to a homeowner and I make the initial call, I'm going to ask them a couple key questions when they tell me they have a leak. Is it in a bathroom or a kitchen? Or a laundry room? If it's in a bathroom, kitchen, or a laundry room, chances are it's a pipe boot. And those, it's like the oil change of your roof, because there's not a lot of items on the roof that really should be that you need to have maintained as much on there. But the pipe boots it's a rubber gasket and it's stretched around a pipe. So that is sitting in the sunlight, stretched rubber, and it's going to crack. Usually we tell people 8 to 12 years is when you're going to start seeing cracks in your pipe boots. If a person has a new roof and their roof is 7 years old, I tell people start looking at that time. Because if you can catch it on the front end and it's a small minor crack, there's collars now that you can repair. You can put a little bit of sealant around there and you slide a collar over the top of it. And we're talking about a simple repair we're not getting our crew out there, you're not hitting a minimum charge. All of our inspectors can do that. And then you don't have interior damage. If you wait, that's when we see the biggest issues. People wait and they think, well, you know, maybe it was just this one-time issue. Chances are, if that leak is there, it's a bigger crack than you think it is, because it takes a while for that water to run down that pipe, get the insulation so saturated where that insulation can't hold any more water. And that's when it's coming down. Because usually you'll get that leak that the water will get to the insulation and it won't come through right away. It'll take a while for it to actually get to your drywall. There's times where we'll go up there and we'll look at the insulation and it's dripped so much where it's a hole straight down. And I'll look at the pipe, look at the hole in the insulation. I'll tap on the drywall. I'm like, is this where it's at? They're like, yeah, perfect. I'm like, yeah, that was pretty easy. But you can do that collar repair, and it's just like a pipe boot collar. But if not, if you wait, then you're talking about a couple $100. If you get into a case where we have to repair wood, you're jumping from a repair that may be $100 to a repair that's maybe $500.
Right.
If you've got the interior drywall, because of minimum roofing charge, and you've got all that built into it, you're spending money because you just didn't want to have maintenance done. But a lot of people don't know about that.
I don't think a lot of people know about that.
Yeah. So whenever I'm doing a roof, when I'm talking with people, I'm like, you know, your only maintenance that you have is really your pipe boots. Like you said, you've got flashing, and usually it's not the flashing, it's the nails that are holding the flashing. Like, for instance, if you have chimney flashing, for instance, the counter flashing goes over the step flashing, and that usually gets nailed to the roofing system. And we put sealant underneath the flashing where the nail goes through, so you have that sealant, and then you put sealant on top of it. That may break down, or the sealant at the top, where if it's on a brick chimney and they grind into the mortar, that flashing will be bent in, and you'll seal that. Eventually that sealant is going to break down, and if that flashing comes loose and the water gets behind that, then it's going behind the step flashing. But I tell people with flashing, other than the sealant on the nails, if flashing doesn't leak on day 1, it's usually not going to leak on day 1000, just because the flashing really isn't exposed to any elements. Because I say the step flashing, if the step flashing is done properly, because the counter flashing is protecting the water from getting behind the step flashing. So it's the maintenance, the pipe boots, the nails on the flashing generally are the issue as well. But other than that, there's not. I tell people, if you don't have to walk on your roof, it's best. Like, we get people who talk about the algae on a north slope. I would leave it unless it's so much of an eyesore for you that you just can't take that. You can put some light products on that you know, isn't
you don't
going to
recommend
give you...
people getting up there and pressure washing their roofs?
No, yeah. Turn that PSI up and just crank it, and just basically you're going to destroy the granules. Oh, it's a lot better now. A lot of the cleaning companies do a really good job. And we don't work with anyone, so it's not something that I know what companies are better or worse. But they do a good job of not using the pressure that people used to use. I don't know if the people that used to do that were ever these companies that actually sold.
They probably never came back and actually worked on the roof.
Right.
They just were getting rid of the...
And they weren't marketing themselves as roof cleaners. Right. They were just somebody, hey, I have a pressure washer.
Right.
I can get that algae off.
Yeah.
But they use chemicals that are a little bit harsher than the products that we would use if we use like a simple product. It's like wet and forget. Anybody can go down to Home Depot, spray their sidewalk. Doesn't give you instant gratification. It takes a couple months. But the companies that use those chemicals, they have to be very on it. I mean, because you have to water everything down, because if the chemicals get on your landscaping, landscaping is, in our world and in their world, landscaping is our enemy. Yeah. Because nobody ever looks at their roof when they're doing it.
Yeah.
Or when it's done. I mean, they do, but they look around their house. They look at the landscaping, they look at their yard, their grass, their driveway.
You get to pay for tires ever?
Every once in a while. We do a pretty good job. We run a magnet. The crew runs the magnet when they're done. Our truck driver usually runs the magnet in the driveway. And now we've got this catch-all system. So you take these long posts and you slide it up underneath the soffit area, and it has like a screen on it, and the screen prevents the material from falling into the landscaping. So we try to use it on every job. Sometimes there's situations where you can't use it. It's just whether the home is 3 stories on the front, it's a little tricky on that. But we try to use that because that prevents nails from spreading more than getting anywhere. Because it all kind of centrally puts the debris. In a perfect world, if we can, we carry the debris or the material over, which few and far between are perfect because not everybody has a nice little ranch house that our guys can actually take the material over the top. Now everything is as steep as it can be and cut up angles. It's not your simple ranch houses that we are accustomed to seeing in the 60s and 70s. But every once in a while we'll get a tire that, and that's unfortunate. We never want that.
Yeah, no, I was just teasing.
Oh, but no,
but I'm sure I wouldn't even think to ask you to pay for that, but I'm sure people do.
Oh, and we do, because that's something that, if they show us that it's a roofing nail in there, now we'll get some people who are like, here's this screw. I'm like, we don't use screws. Like, you may have caught that on the road when you were driving. Like, we'll take blame when it's on us. Yeah. But if it's not on us, that's...
Maybe you should screw in those shingles,
Right, exactly.
I was gonna ask you, like, what is the, people ask us this a lot, but what is the average like roof expectancy now? Like architectural shingle, asphalt, tab shingle. What would you say is the expectancy for the roofs?
I would say in a perfect world, you would get that 30 years out of the 30-year manufacturer, but right now we see somewhere between 20 and 24 years.
Okay.
It almost seems like they tested the shingles in like San Diego, where it's like they don't have our heat, they don't have our winds. I mean, I'm sure San Diego has some winds every once in a while. No, it is a question one. We just have so many different elements of the weather that we get. So it's unfortunate too, because every homeowner, when we put a roof on, or if we go out there, this is a 30-year roof, which unfortunately, if you take a corner too fast, your tires don't make it to what the tires are recommended at either. So it's unfortunate that the temperatures and the weather variables that are playing a part in our day-to-day lives decrease it that much. But yeah, if you can get 20 to 24 years, that's pretty
good. And what about like the flat like asphalt shingles?
Oh, we don't even install those anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we install those if somebody already has it.
We don't see them that much anymore either. I guess the people are replacing them typically when we see them now.
But. Yeah, every once in a while we'll see somebody who installs those on a new roof, and I just sit there. I'm like, well, we take care of the upgrade to the architectural. So I mean, I would guess you're probably not too much different with that, because there's not that much difference in the thickness of the main layer, because the architectural shingle is essentially a little bit thicker than a 3-tab, but it's one piece. So the challenging part with giving a range on that is they're so much more susceptible to wind damage. Your wind rating of around 70 miles an hour for a 3-tab. I mean, that March 3rd storm blew off a lot of 3-tab shingles. But it also blew off architectural shingles because it was just constant wind that day.
Right. I
mean, we had like 2,000 some phone calls within 2 weeks after that event. And people were, well, how soon can you get out here?
Next year.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, and that's just as quick as we could.
Yeah.
But, you get elements that are weather events like that, it's tough to really say that that's a normal occurrence. But normally, if you can get 18 to 20 years, 22 years out of the 3-tab, that's not too bad. I just don't see them anymore.
So 20 to 24 at the architectural. That's good to know. What did you get on there?
What's the last movie you watched and loved? Oh, man.
Yeah, let's hear it. I can't remember the last movie I watched, so I hope you can remember yours.
Gosh, I'm trying to think. I mean, sadly,
how old are your girls?
10 and 7.
So
the last movies I watched were like Mario Brothers and gosh, I can't remember.
Did they drag you to the Ninja Turtles? The Ninja Turtles?
No, I didn't even know a new one came out. I wouldn't mind that.
Didn't it come out? Okay.
Yeah, because
Make that up.
Seth Rogen did it.
it make me think about childhood and like Leonardo and Raphael, all the action figures that I had. The last movie that I watched, and it's not. I didn't even get to watch the whole thing, and my wife walked in and I was watching was John Wick 3.
Okay.
And
Did you watch the other John Wicks?
I watched 1 and 2, and it's so far-fetched. I mean, it's so off the top, but it's I don't know. I liked watching it. It's a good movie.
A lot of action.
A lot of action.
So my wife watched the John Wick 1, the first one, and she's like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I didn't watch the first one. I watched the second one, and I was like, it was all right. I watched the third one, and I was like, it's kind of hokey to me, like at that point. But it was action-packed. I mean, it was intense.
Is that the Halle Berry one, the second one? Was it Halle Berry?
Remember.
With the dogs?
I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember. There was one of the John Wicks, and I get them all mixed up. Like I haven't watched them enough to know which one it was. But the one that has the dogs, those dogs are incredible. I can't even think.
I'm the worst at recalling movies. I can like watch a movie back and not even remember any part of it. So
okay.
Maybe it's a good thing. It's like watching it all over again.
Yeah. I feel like there's probably a movie I watched with my wife recently, and if she sees this, she's gonna say, "I can't believe you don't remember watching a movie with me."
It meant so much.
Yeah.
So, I know you said you have 2 daughters.
Yep.
And you said 10 and 7.
10 to 7, yeah.
10 and 7. So what are they into?
So a lot of we recently moved and we took them out of dance, which we realized that was a lot of their life. They loved it, and they both like dance. They tumbling, jumping on the trampoline. My oldest daughter is swimming right now, so she likes that. She's doing that over at the Excel Aquatics Center, I think it is. The other daughter does dance and choir, singing. My youngest daughter says she's going to be the next Taylor Swift, and I hope she is. I mean, my life will be a lot easier when I get older. And then, being in this area with all the singing, like they just see all the people, Yeah. But yeah, it's dance, singing, dancing, swimming. Trying to think if there's anything else. I'm trying to get them into golf. I love golf. Yeah. And I try to get them to come out with me as much as I can. But that's pretty much it.
So 2 kids?
Yeah. Yep. 2 little girls.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They had me wrapped around their finger at birth, and I never even thought about like.
I have 2 girls and a boy.
Okay.
And I tried to treat them the same, but I don't.
Yeah.
The boy, it's like he can't get away with anything, and the girls they get away with everything. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
They don't, and he does something, and I'm like ready to beat him up.
Yeah. Yeah, so. And my 10-year-old would probably say she can't get away with anything.
Yeah.
It's probably the first child, thing, but and I probably look at her and being the older kid, you should know better type of thing. Like my parents told me, like I wasn't the oldest, but they just always told me I should know better.
The first one's always that way, I think. Yeah. Usually more the rule follower, very black and white.
Yeah.
And the parents are most parenty on those, the first one.
Yeah.
Then as you get more, you get more lax. You're like, oh my gosh, just hope you can survive.
Right. Exactly.
Was it my turn? I just went, right?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Do you have? Who would you say is the most influential figure in your life?
Oh, that's a great question. And I don't mean to take the easy way out. I'm gonna say my parents as a whole, just because how they brought me up. They brought me up the same way. It didn't matter if I was at baseball, if I was at basketball, football, both of them were there. If I was at home, my mom was playing catch with me, my dad was playing catch with me. Sports was a huge part of my childhood.
Did your parents play sports? They both athletes?
Yeah, they both played. Both played. My mom played softball with my dad till I was a little kid. I think the last time she played, she didn't play after. She was third base on their co-ed softball team and took a bad hop to the face. Oh. And that was not to bring that up, Mom, if you see this, but that was the last time she played softball.
Yeah.
But they, just kind of going back to what I was mentioning before with the golden rule and everything, they brought me up how I want my kids to be brought up. They brought me up how they were brought up. They brought me up, just treat others with respect. Their work ethics, my dad worked with his company for 46 years, retired with that company, which I know is not even seen anymore, I mean, or or unlikely. My mom did at-home daycare for 43 years.
Wow.
So they both, worked with those companies, or I guess my mom was her own company, but taught me work ethic and, meaning of a dollar and all the little things. So I'm gonna have to say both my parents, just because I can't say one did it any different than the other. They were firm with me, but within reason.
Yeah.
Like I look back and I'm like, I deserve that.
Yeah.
Or I deserve that. And
It's different when you're a parent, right? You
It is.
see things a little bit differently.
Yeah. I wish I could fast forward my daughter where she could watch, in the future when she could not appreciate, but understand why we, explain things to them the way that we are.
Yeah.
Other than we're just evil parents.
Yeah.
So.
They'll get it. They'll get it one of these days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They'll be out of the house, but.
Yeah, they will. But they'll get it. I don't know. Is that a good idea? We're just going to go for it. So I was going to, I don't know if this is a question more than a statement, but I know this is the first time we met in person.
Yeah.
We've talked on the phone a ton of times.
Yep.
And I got to say, from our standpoint, it's a huge benefit, relief, everything to have your approach to what you do. To have someone who gives us an honest opinion of what's going on. Obviously, you're trying to run a business and be profitable and do things, but that's secondary to advising someone and helping us. And so it means the world to us. That's the way we want to have our business run. You know, we want to have people's insurance, but more importantly than anything, we want people to be covered and to be taken care of if something does happen. We'd love to be the one to help them, but that isn't always the case.
Right.
I would more so love to be able to tell everybody in the world, like, I would love more than anything for someone or for no one to ever have a claim that's not understood.
Right.
Or, for them to be like, hey, this happened, my insurance is not going to cover it.
Correct.
But it's so hard to explain that. And we're never going to be able to accomplish that. But to have people like yourself that are on our team, that are out there looking for people's best interests is a huge benefit and relief. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to point that out, that I think that's normal for you and probably natural to you, but it's not normal for the industry. It's not normal for business. And so to have somebody who, when we get feedback from people we refer to, that we've given your name to, it's always, he was so nice, he was so helpful, he was so, and these are people that you've gone out and said, you don't need a new roof, oftentimes. And so for that to be the case, to make us look good, to add value to what we do is awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. That's kind of what, being that I worked in the insurance world or insurance industry, I saw all that.
Yeah.
Like I saw everybody from, I had this TV before the fire, and not even that, extreme.
Right.
But you see
people trying to take advantage of the system a little bit. Yeah.
100%.
Right.
And the company, Barrett, that I, elected, because I never thought I'd switch over. Maybe at some point in time for the estimating side of it with the company and doing estimates just for them. But the inspection-wise, there is such a unfortunate, bad, kind of cloud over the industry, if you will, because of everybody just says everything has to be turned into insurance or everybody has to replace a roof.
Right.
And the Barrett Company or Barrett Roofing, when they started and Frank started it, he was just like, I just want to be honest. And there's people that, we've worked with people and you've tried to satisfy everybody, kind of like you said. And we have issues that came up on jobs from here or there, and we try to, take care of those issues. But the one thing that Mike was always, firm about is like, look, we're looking at these for the agents, for the homeowners, and for our company. It all can work together. And if we can be honest with them, that's going to make them happy, it's going to make the agents happy, and it's going to keep us afloat. And our company, I mean, we haven't been around since 1962 just because we're shady and, telling everybody, bad information or anything like that, because we do a lot of work with a lot of different agents. And I mean, it's some independent, some straight with,
The captains
exactly. And that's just kind of what they've been, their company model has always been. It's just be honest, and if it would be your roof, what would you do on your roof?
Right.
And that's kind of how I look at it too sometimes. It's, obviously it's easier for me to say that because I would do the work on my roof if I had a repair or anything like that and not have to, well, I won't get into all that. But yeah, it just makes it easier. And if I mean, I get so many calls from homeowners who are like, hey, you were out here 4 years ago and you told me I didn't need to replace my roof and I had probably 5 years left in it and other people told me I had to replace it. And they call me. And they call me for that reason alone.
Yeah.
We as a company, we take pride in that. And we enjoy having the referrals that come from people that didn't need anything years ago. And that's the only reason they call us. But I mean, I get, the people who are told that they have damage, they don't get on their roofs to tell. Like, how are they supposed to know?
Yeah.
So those people are kind of caught off guard under those circumstances. It's kind of interesting when we get brought to a home when the other company is there and we're explaining that to them.
Roofing
and I'll just,
company?
Oh yeah, it'll happen every once in a while. Every once in a while, and I'll just say, okay, show me some damage to metal. You said there's hail damage on this, and how is half this roof have hail damage, but this side doesn't, and the only side that does is underneath this tree, where all the debris falls and hits it. But there's no hail damage over here. Like, I get storms have a stopping point. It'd be ironic if it's right in the middle of this person's roof. But, it just makes for an easier day for me too. Like, I can go home and sleep at night. I don't have to worry about, did I do things by the book? Did I, was I honest as somebody else that's a bigger thing looking at me and judging me for how I, approach this? And that's just...
Well, your parents did a good job.
Yeah, obviously, I think they did. I think they did a pretty good job.
All right.
It's getting there.
We're getting there.
It's gotta...
So do you have, I know you spend a lot of time in the truck driving around. Do you have podcasts, music? What are we listening to when we're cruising around during the day? On the phone, usually.
My wife just cannot believe this. I cannot listen to music. I know some, but it's only the music that I listen to my wife and the kids playing. I know a really sad amount of kids bop music. Yeah. So I don't even know who the people are who sing it. I listen to sports talk a lot, whether it's national or local. That's just, I prefer to listen to that. Oh, I knew it. I saw it. But yeah, I listen to a lot of sports talk. I'm still a big fan of all the Minnesota teams. I still cheer for all the Nashville teams. So if I can hear
professional teams, Minnesota?
Yeah.
So the Wild.
The Wild, unfortunately,
Twins.
this year. The Twins, unfortunately, this year. The Vikings, well, Cousins is gone.
Who's their quarterback going to be?
Man.
Because I really like Cousins. I watched the QB1 special on him on Netflix, and I was like, I had a new respect for all the quarterbacks.
Right.
Like Mahomes, I mean, you think, oh, he's just gifted. You know, you're like, well, he works really hard.
Yeah.
And all those guys work. And the ones that are successful, and I'm sure the ones that don't do as well, they still work hard. But these guys are just different.
Yeah.
You know, like the way they can just translate information and process things at such a high speed.
Yeah.
And then all the homework and stuff. Like the CJ Stroud?
Yeah.
I saw him being interviewed recently. He is sharp, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, that QB show, that was awesome. They did a really good job.
The one on Kurt, okay.
And I think, so all of my friends and I, we usually each year we have 10 guys that go on a road trip to watch a Vikings game. So we've been to Philly and Carolina and Kansas City, Houston.
Philly, did you roll with the jerseys on?
Oh, man.
You were all together? It takes a team to roll through there.
So I won't even, this is not a on camera conversation. One of my friends got screamed. He had his daughters there. He went back there. He went back there for the was it the NFC Championship? No, it wasn't. It was a playoff game the next year, and he wore. It actually may have been the NFC Championship game when the Super Bowl was played in Minnesota, and he had his daughter with him, and somebody screamed at him something that you shouldn't yell to anybody.
Right.
But he's like an ex-Marine.
Didn't go well.
It went as good as it could because his daughter was there.
Ugh.
But it would not, and it wouldn't have been good for my buddy either because a group of that size.
Right, you're outnumbered.
But, I mean, the comments,
And they're brutal, I know.
they're loyal to their team.
They are.
And I mean,
Loyal to a fault.
yes.
Right?
I mean, they took it to the extreme. But yeah, we go on those trips. And all of us have always had the same feeling like Cousins isn't that good of a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his record against the playoff teams, his records against winning teams. And then you watch that show. That show was pretty awesome. I mean, all of us talked like, okay, he can be our quarterback.
And then you're like, boop, he's gone.
And then he's gone to Atlanta. Yeah. It's like, well, that went quick.
And popped his Achilles and he's out of here.
Yeah. So
I hope he can recover. I'm sure he probably will.
Yeah, I would think so.
He's not, he's mobile, but not like a running quarterback.
Yeah.
And I feel like the mental part of it, he'll be fine with
Yeah.
it. So that's interesing.
But yeah, JJ maybe? Sam Darnold? Because you asked who's going to be the quarterback? JJ McCarthy?
I know.
I mean, he seems like a good kid.
I didn't even know Sam
That's
Darnold
crazy
was
saying
in
a
the
good
league.
kid.
Isn't that awful to say?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he...
That's good. That's good for you guys.
From San Francisco, yeah. We're hoping that there's
Yeah.
a great draft pick next year.
Yeah.
I just want them to keep JJ, Justin Jefferson. If they can't keep him, I mean, Addison is good and all that, but like Justin Jefferson is like a...
Yeah, he's a game changer.
He's not
there's some elite guys, yeah.
Yeah, he's that, like, you can see Hall of Fame wide receiver already if he continues it with this path and everything. So, but yeah, it's not looking great for him.
Yeah.
And the division with the Bears reloading, the Lions are
they're legit now,
a legit team. Yeah, Packers. I'm not going to say anything good about them. I can't.
I know.
It's just the Packers. So, but yeah, it should be
awesome.
a fun season.
Well, I guess we're pretty much finished up. I was going to ask, though, as far as, I don't think I've ever asked you this before, but Barrett Roofing, what like services outside of just a roof repair, roof replacement, like what would be something that somebody would call you guys about?
We have subs that work with us directly. So if it's something that they have a leak and they want the roof addressed and the interior taken all taken care of by one person, we can do that. We've got gutters. We can do siding. Anything.
Any metal roofing?
We do. We do a little bit. It's not something that.
We don't have a lot around here.
Right.
But,
and metal roofing is tough because people, it gets installed in a lot of situations where it's not proper. Mm-hmm. And I could go into the whole, like, if you go to the manufacturers, it shouldn't be on anything under a 412, and everybody has it on under a 412. And we sit there and we're like, well, we shouldn't install metal on this. We're going to do this. And they're like, well, I want metal. I'm like, well, we may not be the right company for you. I mean, there's been a lot of times where people want to do a layover of shingles or metal on the flat section. And I'm just like, we're not the right person. Like, we will do a lot of roofing jobs, but we don't want to do it when we think it's going to be wrong. And we'll tell them, we're like, I don't recommend this. There was a house in the Governor's Club years ago. I went out there and they're like, we just want to repair it. I'm like, you can't repair this for this reason. And they said, well, we talked to somebody who said they can. I'm like, okay.
Call them.
They called them back. I kid you not, 2 years later, I get a phone call. I won't mention the name at all. Yeah. And I was like, oh, you're in the Governor's Club. She's like, how'd you remember that? I'm like, I remember. I bet you have an issue on that left-hand side. She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Do you need it done properly? And we ended up going out there, and they had raccoons that got in, and 2 tree limbs that fell, and insurance took care of it. But it's just, we don't want to put somebody in a situation where if it's not proper the first time, it's not going to lead to anything positive in the future.
Yeah.
It's just,
like, I cut you off. Is there anything else besides, like, I mean, I know I said ask for the metal roofing. Anything else as far as services?
Yeah, pretty much exterior stuff. Exterior, we can do drywall, but we don't get into We don't get into additions that much. If somebody wants to do an addition, we have a framer that we contact, but usually they're so far backed up. I mean, they're backed up.
You ever hop in there and
9
help out on the
months.
framing?
What's that?
You ever hop in there and help out on the framing?
No, I don't. If I don't have to lift my hammer more than a couple times a week, I'm happy.
So I have one more question. So I tend to believe that most people have a fear of heights.
Okay.
Like, do you still have a fear of heights? Did it get easier as the more you get up there? Like, how does that work? I mean, you still got to get like nervous knees when you get on certain spots, or do you not?
It's got to be steep.
Really?
Like
So you get used to it. I mean, did you get more used to it as you did more, like got on more roofs?
I think so. Yeah, because I think you feel more
Or have
comfortable.
you always just been
but yeah,
not a
I mean, I
problem?
know my range. I know when I feel like, if I feel like it's questionable and it doesn't have a valley if it has a valley, I can walk on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that, and there's some homes that I'm not walking on them at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was one in Cincinnati when I was on the catastrophe team, a school building. It was like 7 stories up. And it was a pretty steep roof. And I had to go through the hatch in the center and then walk down the edge. And I took a picture hanging over the edge. And then I took a picture from the ground. And I put a garbage chute on there because it's a school. If you're doing that, you can't, have debris flying everywhere at a school. Because even if it's not during school hours, there's always kids playing around there. And it got reviewed. And the reviewer was like, "Why'd you put a garbage chute?" I'm like, "Well, look at the picture here. What in the world are you doing on the edge of the roof?" I knew you were going to ask for a picture for why I was doing the garbage chute. But that was one of the taller ones. I've been on, downtown Boston, like a skyscraper when I was doing commercial training up there. But that's flat.
Yeah.
You get onto a pitch, and the only reason I ever get nervous is if you see a shingle that's slipping. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, not literally like slipping out from underneath you, but when you see shingle sliding at an angle where almost one side seems like it's still nailed and it's dropping down this way, that's usually a sign of improper installation. That's something you can see from the ground. You'll see like a little TP in the shingles, and it's because this side's sliding down and this side's stuck, and that's improperly installed. But when I see that somewhere on the roof and I'm walking, I hesitate a little bit more, because generally if they install it wrong there, they're installing it wrong over here.
Yeah.
And if you step on that and that shingle comes out, because it's not nailed in, because what it is they nail it a half inch too high so it doesn't catch the bottom section of that shingle. And if you step on that, it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's my closest to falling ever. I was on one and I stepped on it and just slid down. I grabbed onto a couple shingles and I looked at the guy to my left. I'm like, in a different phrase, I was like, that was really close.
Yeah.
And, go down and look, and there's like a glass table with an umbrella underneath there. But heights, I've never really been, afraid of heights.
Yeah.
I'm way more afraid of crawl spaces than heights. Like when I was an adjuster, if I had to get into a crawl space, I couldn't stand it. I was under one where the plastic starts moving over here, and I've never moved Army crawl faster. And come and find out, there's like a frog underneath there.
Yeah. It doesn't matter though.
No.
I don't know what it is.
I
don't like either one of them. Makes you feel any better.
No, I haven't gone into a crawl space since I was an adjuster.
Yeah.
I'm not even in my own. I'm not going underneath that house.
I've been in mine, like to move like a cable wire, but there's a section of it, like to addition we put on.
Yeah.
That is literally like, it's like this wide, and there's plastic. So it's like, you'd be touching as you crawled through, and it's too tight for me.
Yeah.
Like I would have a panic attack.
Yeah.
Just because I couldn't turn around real quickly or something. So there's an open area once you get through this like 20-foot, like tube.
Yeah.
I'm like, no thanks, I'm good.
That-
Hope everything's okay back there.
Right. That happened to me recently when I had to look for a leak. I went into somebody's attic, and I got into this small opening that got me into another roofing area, and I started crawling, and I just, not yelled him in distress or anything, but I was like, hey, I'm not moving further than this. I can't get through this. I'd have to go over your ductwork, go underneath your ductwork, and the only way I'd get out is if I went through your drywall.
Yeah.
And there's no opening there to go through, so.
Yeah.
It's not fun getting tied in or, stuck into a little area that doesn't have a turnaround.
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you. Well, thanks for your time today.
Absolutely, appreciate
What's the
it.
best way if somebody wants to track you guys down at Barrett Roofing? Office number? What's the best way to get you guys?
Probably office number. It's 615-776-5464. You can go online and search Barrett Roofing, and I think we've got the Facebook page and a website. But our office number generally will go to somebody after hours as well. So if there's an after hours emergency, they can call us. They usually will get somebody. If they don't get anybody, if they get the voicemail, they'll call them back as quick as we possibly can, because we know that unfortunately roofs leak at all hours of the night. They can reach out to us, that way, email. Trying to think. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With us, we can get you too.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Thanks a bunch.
Appreciate
man.
it, Jeremy.
That was awesome.
Yeah, fun.
That was a lot of fun.